cool.
Well, I'm just going to wing it. I've got an idea of what birds I want to see, but they don't know.
Not less, it's African Jacana chick. I can just say lesser Jacana, everyone's like, yes.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, can I go for it, Chris? Okay, everybody, this is the November edition of the Birding Life Show. Thanks for all those that have tuned in over the last couple of months. We got Tyron, we got Calvin, we got Chris behind the camera. And yeah, I just think it's pretty cool. Just firstly, for everyone who listens from around the world, it's pretty cool. Big news is, we have just hit, as of now, this has been recorded on Friday the 30th of October, I think. Yeah. Friday the 30th of October. And we have just hit, for the first time ever, 2,000 listens in a month. That is flippin' awesome.
On our podcast.
On our podcast, yeah. This is the podcast, so yeah. But yeah, so how's it gone in terms of those bogey birds? I know I saw one of my bogey birds, the African emerald cuckoo. That bird has been like crazy elusive, and I managed to see it a couple of weeks ago. So how's it gone with you guys with bogey birds? I know Tyron saw a bird that doesn't exist for you.
I stole Calvin's bogey bird at Manyoni Private Game Reserve. It was a bit of a mission. We probably called it for a couple of hours in different locations.
The bird calls.
I thought we were never going to see it. I've never even heard it call. I thought, gee, why don't we give up calling it now and actually look for some other birds? But eventually, we heard it call. And I thought, gee, okay, we've heard it call, we're not going to see it. It's going to be deep in the forest. But we actually found it pretty easy. There was a pair, a male and a female. And it was like absolutely amazing experience. Photos, we saw the male displaying, flying and puffing up and calling, landing back on the same branch. It was like,
I think for the benefit of everyone watching, did you say that it's the African Broadbill?
African Broadbill.
That was my bogey bird from last time.
Definitely, yeah. It was really, really stunning. A bit dark conditions, but I mean, I think for Broadbill it was still good conditions.
Well, I've got to commend you. The photograph that you took and the subsequent video that you posted on the blog and the website is fantastic. And I've never seen any video footage of broadbills around. I maybe just haven't looked hard enough.
I must confess, it wasn't my video, it was Roger Hogg's video, so credit to him
He hogged all the credit.
for doing the video, because it was actually stunning to see it doing that display flight.
Yes, yeah. So for those out there who aren't familiar with the African broadbill, and I know because I've studied my nemesis bird for so long, but the sound that it makes, that sound that Tyron made earlier, it's actually based on the fast wing beats that it makes in display, and it does a sort of circular display. So as I said, if you've got the time, click onto our website and look for that blog post that Tyron put up, and you'll be able to see a bit of a video evidence of it. So needless to say, my jealousy is furthermore extended, because as Tyron said, that's still a bird that I'm after. I'm no closer to finding it other than spending more time in Zululand, which I hope to do now in December, or at least in November, but then sometime in December. But yeah, that's where mine stand at this point.
Well, just for those who might not, well, no one will know this, but we are recording this from Palma guest house. It's a stunning location in the Mamsantoti. Beautiful sea view on this side here. Birds all around us. So if our heads flick around and that, it might be because we're looking at birds. I know one of your birds you're looking for, red-headed quelea, might possibly show up, so let's hold thumbs. So Helena, thanks for hosting us. She runs this place, and yeah, this is a stunning place. I mean, the bird life here is amazing. The coffee is amazing. So yeah, just we'll put some links for Palma guest house in it. Beautiful location. If you're looking for somebody to come in December, I think this is well worth supporting. If you're a birder, Sapphire Coast is insane. I mean, how many species of bird have we got on the?
I think over 200. Yeah.
It's a lot of birds. I mean, really cool birds. Red-headed queleas.
250.
Just trying to think what else. There's a whole lot of birds. I mean, just trying to put myself on the spot now, right? But Sapphire Coast is insane for birds. I mean, yeah, come book a holiday here. So, in terms of recent birding trips, Calvin, let's start with you. You did a recent pelagic, and a lot of us were drooling with the birds you saw, and the photos you got really amazing. I know there's a YouTube video if you want to mention that also.
Yeah, so thanks, Adam. So it was the 17th of October, I think it was. I went out with Neil Perrins from Busted's Birding. Dave Rimmer was on board as well. John van der Reet, who some of you may know, the author of Spud, which when I saw who was on the trip list going on, I was starting to I knew that something good was happening, because a lot of the same people that were on this trip were on the Tahiti petrol trip as well. So I thought, well, it's going to be a good omen. So yes, it's a pelagic birding trip. We went off from Wilson's Wharf in Durban. We push out about 30 k's out to sea, and if we can try and find a fishing trawler, we will hook up with that. But often, as Neil will explain in the YouTube video that we posted today, the best way to track those pelagic birds off Durban is through chumming. And I mean, pleased to say, my target bird for the trip was Barrow's petrel, which we did get, thank goodness. Actually had great views of it. It came very close to the boat. I know Zach Simpson got some great photos, Mark O'Donoghue as well. A couple of the guys had seen it before, but they were just hoping for better photographic opportunities. Other notable birds that were on the trip, Arctic tern, which is obviously way up from north, given that it's going to winter there now. They push down south. We've got usual sort of suspects: Indian yellow-nosed albatross, the ever-present white-chinned petrel. But something just on that bird in particular, and I think I was chatting to the guys on the trip about it, is that if you've ever been on a pelagic off Durban, first thing you can do is tick off white-chinned petrel on your list. It's a given. It's going to happen. But that bird's actually in decline, and it's our most numerous, or at least off Durban, our most numerous sort of pelagic bird. So, the sad thing is that what is now a common bird is potentially going to be a rarity in the future. So yeah, as I said, if you're interested in pelagic birding or finding out more about it, check out our YouTube video, or get in touch with Neil from Busted's Birding, and he'll treat you to many laughers, I can assure you of that.
It's been interesting because it wasn't really planned like this. I only thought about it today, as the fact that this week, which would be last week when the podcast comes out, it's almost been all pelagic birding. We've had Adam Riley speaking about pelagic birding. Your video going out this week. We're going to have a blog article going out sometime this weekend. But what was interesting is Adam Riley said that the Barrow's petrel, that going off of Durban in terms of pelagic birding, it's one of the most reliable spots in the world for that bird. It's insane. I mean, if you're listening from Cape Town, which is kind of the pelagic birding capital of South Africa, I mean, there's a reason to come and book a pelagic trip off of Durban.
And just on that species as well, it breeds on Reunion Island, which is very close to Mauritius, obviously, and there's only, from what we saw, the latest information, there's only 4,000 pairs left in the world. So it really is a treat to see it. And this time of the year, October, November, possibly into December, is when we go and target that.
And the other bugger up at the moment, obviously, is that there's this whole oil spill that's come down the Bilo River into the bay at the moment. I was just having a chat to Nicolette Forbes today, just about how many birds have been affected, Goliath heron, and apparently at the moment it's all over the harbour, and it's so sad. It's just and you're speaking about the decline of certain species out at sea, but it's just like man is just buggering up the environment so much, and it's so sad. And I just think sometimes we've got to look at the choices we make in terms of that. Tyron, you're on the African Broadbill. You just saw that up at Manyoni, which is an amazing place. I'm hoping on Thursday to go up. If it all works out, we've got a really cool offer. I know by the time this podcast goes out, it'll be probably a little bit late for people to book. But watch the space. We should have some other really cool offers coming up. So tell us about Manyoni. I mean, I just think it's, from what I've seen, I mean, it's been in it was in the previous edition of the African Birdlife magazine. There was an article in there. The new Getaway magazine has an article on Manyoni. I mean, it just looks like a stunning reserve. Tell us a little bit about this reserve and why you should go bird Manyoni.
It's a very stunning reserve. There's a vast diversity of habitats, and what I think they've got right is they're actually conscious of birds. It's not just animals, and they're conscious of the habitats as well. They've got certain sections where they've wired off sections so that the elephants don't get in there, and the reason is because elephants, it's not actually the trees they're worried about, it's actually the ground cover. elephants destroy the ground cover. So there's sections where they're cordoned off so the elephants can't get in there, and then the ground cover is actually preserved and it actually attracts certain birds. So they're actually preserving certain habitats specifically for birds, and it's absolutely stunning reserve for birds. They get a lot of rarities, a lot of KZN rarities, birds that are very difficult to find in KZN, red-headed weaver, bronze-winged courser.
They had a dark chanting goshawk there the other day, didn't they?
Yeah, and I think a gabar goshawk as well, which
Yeah.
I've never seen. So it's really a beautiful reserve. Yeah, we had an absolute stunning time there.
From what I understand, I've been to Manyoni a few times, and in particular Zebra Hills as well, which I think you're going to touch on a little bit later. The reserve, I think it's about 10,000 hectares, if I'm not mistaken, roughly about that same size. And there are other similar reserves in KZN which are privately owned, but have got a lot more lodges. Yeah. So what you don't, one of the beauty about Manyoni that I realise is that you don't see a lot of game vehicle traffic while you're driving around. Yeah. It's seldom that you actually see another vehicle. And obviously, like most private reserves, the guards are in constant communication about any special sightings around. And also, for me, the main attraction for me to want to go back there is the pangolin rehabilitation project. So they're busy, as we all know, pangolin are in serious decline around the world through poaching. A lot of the sort of scales are taken across to the east for whatever reason, aphrodisiac purposes or whatever the case is. But Manyoni Reserve is starting a project there where they're trying to conserve them, which is fantastic.
The thing is, it's not on a birding related note, but one of my other bogey animals is in Tyron, we went to Kruger, is a leopard. Everyone goes like, oh, we saw like 10 leopard at Kruger. I got to Kruger, I saw a flippin' leopard tail.
Oh no. S100,
so,
man.
So one of the animals, the mammals that I'm really hoping to see up on Manyoni is actually to see a really cool leopard sighting. So yeah, I'm hoping to see that. But it's an amazing reserve. I think another thing which is really cool is we've been to other reserves where the guys who take you around, they don't know much about birds. They might know the common birds. Oh, there's a house sparrow or something. I mean, it's a bit of exaggeration. They don't know much about birds. But I think what's great about the Manyoni is the guys who work there really seem to know their birds, which I think sets Manyoni apart from any other or most other reserves. Not any, most other reserves.
Ryan Vivier from Leopard Mountain, also very, very keen birder. He does very well in the Zululand 100 Challenge. I know the guys at Mabula as well. They're very, very keen birders. So, I mean, that's where the famous golden pipit was seen for, how many days? 40 days or something like that last year or the year before.
Yeah. Well, we were guided by Ava van Rooyen, and he's actually winning the Zululand Challenge at the moment. So, definitely knows his stuff. Yeah.
Well, I did a little St. Lucia day trip, which was pretty cool. Managed to get the rufous bedded heron. It was quite cool. We literally got there, and we were with Tristan and Steph Nordia, looked out the window, saw it, and I mean, I don't know how we saw it. It was just literally, or Tristan saw it, and within a couple of minutes or so, it was gone. Oh. If we hadn't seen it, like literally within that time, there it was gone. So we got the rufous bedded heron. Apparently, there's two there. We actually saw two. We saw both. Okay. We saw the one was down, and the one actually, when the other one flew over.
We saw the one.
Yeah, when the other one flew over, the other one flew with it.
So it was the first wetland in Eastern Shores?
Yeah, first, when you go in the first Eastern Shore, the first road to the left, we got Colopratzenkohl, which is another lifer. That wasn't actually in the reserve. Zach lied to me and said they're all over. We actually did this little farm back road, and it flew over the car, so it was quite cool. And then a surprise in the afternoon, which wasn't on my planned list, was an African cuckoo hawk, which was sitting in the tree. Yeah. So it was really cool. It was a great day's birding. So Calvin, I don't know if you can just chat about some of the rare birds that have been seen over the last month, because there's been some really cool birds, and we spoke about the rufous bedded herons, but so what else has been seen? I know they...
Cool, so Adam, on the rare bird side, there's things are certainly hotting up as it normally does in summer. Once again, thanks to Trevor Hardacre for sending out the rare bird alerts. I'm certainly drawing on all his updates to get my information. So I'll just pick one decent bird in each province, just so that we press for time. But for me, in Western Cape, another Australasian gannet was seen on Malchus Island. Now, I remember speaking to Adam Riley back when he first started birding. I can't remember who he was speaking to, but he said he wanted to go and find Australasian gannets. And for anyone that knows how similar they look to Cape gannets, the galah stripe is the only thing that sets it apart. So you've got to literally look at a whole colony of birds and find that one that's got that short galah stripe for Australasian gannets. So that's Western Cape. Eastern Cape, Eurasian oyster catchers are popped up there. We often get them, it seems like annually in St. Lucia. The Eurasian oyster catcher, so great bird there, and about 3 seen together. In KZN, you mentioned the rufous belly heron, that's in the report. But I think of most note is a western yellow wagtail has been seen. I know a couple guys, Michael Wright saw it, a few others have been up to see it as well. Gauteng, a battler was seen flying near the Zambezi off-ramp in Pretoria. Mpumalanga, ruddy turnstone, Mokombo Dam, Limpopo, golden pipit. There we go, about this time of the year.
It's in Kruger.
In Kruger again, correct. But I mean, it seems like annually they're popping up. So I remember chatting to Trevor about this when we were in Kruger and doing that birding challenge. Is that there's obviously more birders out there that are IDing these sort of rarities. So is it that these birds have always come here, or I mean, are they still considered a rarity? So the fact that it's seen so seldom, I suppose it still qualifies for that. Then up in Namibia, we've got some common redshanks, great bird, very, very seldom seen in South Africa. And then redneck farrowlope was seen as well. And for them, a rarity in Namibia is a black sparrowhawk as well. So that's sort of summing up the rarities been seen of late. And then Barrow's petrel, but we've spoken about
There's
that.
a crab plover.
Crab plover, just literally right now.
Today, yes. Crab plover seen at St.
And
Lucia.
something else, but I don't know what it was. I got a voice that I can't listen, but something else also came.
Oh, really?
Cool bird showing it. KZN is like quite a hot spot at the moment for birds. Okay, so Tyron, also our Spring Fling youth birding challenge is happening. Daniel Engelbrecht is like just hammering it. That guy's like, is he like human? Is he like part bird? He's like baby Hardiker.
396 birds and like.
And he's doing matric, and he is busy doing matric
crazy,
at the moment.
396 birds. I think Jordan Ralph is 8 behind him.
Sure.
It's crazy how many they've seen in such a short space of time. I don't know how far and wide they've travelled. I see not many people are doing it in the Western Cape because African penguin is one of the recent additions. So someone's travelled there, or they've just woken up in the Western Cape. I see someone's got the Eurasian oyster catcher as well.
Sure.
So that's probably to come to us. Eastern Cape. I'm not sure you got that, but that's the latest bird.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going very well.
Some good young birders coming through. It's really cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, just on the news front, the African BirdLife magazine, always a good buy. It's just come out. A couple of things. Really cool. The African Jacana check on the cover. Just also in here, got really cool article. They got a nice little article in here on just the reviews of different binoculars. Just some really cool stuff. It's worth getting. Haven't gone through the whole magazine yet, but it's really worth getting, and yeah, just worth buying. And if you haven't got it, get hold of it. It's like we'll try very much 55 rand. I mean, but I think the quality you get in this magazine, it's well worth it. And again, it also supports conservation. So I think it's a great magazine. And just on a reading front, also. Which is a really cool book, and Duncan Butchart, his book Garden Birds in Southern Africa. What I like about this book here is just I've read other books on indigenous plants in your garden, and some of them are quite boring, but it's really like what's really cool. It's quite a nice familiar bird on the cover, just paradise flycatcher on the cover. And little write-ups of each of the birds, but also it's quite nice. Each of the birds, it basically tells you if you, for example, want to get Karupini in your garden. Well, it's not going to happen in KZN, but what you need to plant in your garden. Little write-up of the birds, the distribution, the size. So that's really cool. Also, but it's just visually, the book is like so appealing. It's just his paintings are stunning, and yeah, if you've got any interest in birds, it's a great Christmas present coming up. So I think it's an awesome book. Highly recommend. It's kind of what I'm going through at the moment. So will be a review coming up quite soon.
Is he going to be on the podcast?
You'll be on the podcast quite soon.
Okay.
Looking forward to it.
Well, just on the items front, I brought something with that we're going to be speaking about quite a lot in the
Christmas Cape early
coming up. First of all, we'd like to thank Andrew Wassel from Wilder Distributors for for donating this pair of bins to us. So what I've got to my hands here are the Vortex Diamondback HD 10x42 binoculars. Always interesting actually when you see newer birders posting questions on Facebook or online, well, which binoculars should I get, and should I go 8x42 or 10x42, or even in your case the 10x30s, your Swarovskis that you got.
Yeah, 10x30s.
Yeah.
No, 8x30s.
8x30s, there we go. All right,
And
so
then the pures are 12 bar.
12 bar, there we go. So I'm going to be doing a first impressions video of this. We're going to be doing a full review, and who knows, someone might hit a luck towards the end of the year and be the lucky owner of these as well. So looking forward to that. A part of the deal, he threw in a lens cleaning kit, which I think very few birders have owned in their arsenal. But for anyone that owns any serious glass or into photography or anything like that, I think a lens cleaning kit is a must in your arsenal, to be honest. So there we go.
I think it's a cool time just to bring it in. We've got something really cool coming up. This is the first time it's being announced. So if you're listening to this podcast, you're hearing fresh news. Launching on Monday, the 16th of November. So halfway through November, we're going to help answer the question. You know, people always wonder, their birding family, their birding, there's two reasons. Firstly, if you've got family members or friends who are birding and saying, what do I get them for Christmas? We're going to give you like 30 ideas. But on the other hand, also, if you're a birder and you need to drop hints, we're going to give you the tools to share. And just like tag family members and let them know stuff that you want for Christmas. And so you can subtly do it. Not official, we just can do it on the sideline. But we're going to be doing that. And we're also going to be doing this. We're going to be having the Birding Life's 30 days of Christmas from the 16th of November all the way into December. And this is what's cool. 30 giveaways over 30 days.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be giving you, these are really cool prizes. I mean, like the Vortex spins are one of the prizes we've got. We've got wine, we've got hiking boots. There's a whole lot of stuff. I don't want to give you all the prizes away. But let me say, we're getting communications every day of people that are sponsoring prizes. And the cool part about this is every one of the prizes that are being sponsored, they have a connection to birds in some way. And it's a prize that we're not just because people say to us we can put it on. We are looking for things that we would like in our Christmas stocking. So in other words, just
associated
and just to say, like, if you want to give us a gift, 30 gifts you can give any of us, eh? Tyron will just want the wine. Yeah. So 30 days of Christmas, launching 16th of November. So if you're not following us on social media, you better be following us on social media. There's going to be a whole lot of different ways to win, and it's going to be lots and lots of fun. But we just want to chat about something just as a point of discussion. I don't know how long we're going to take on this here. And I want to, we kind of touched on this in the last podcast. I want to ask the question, has the South African tourism sector, has it truly seen the value in the AV tourism market and the birding market? Now, I got this article from Chirp Birding in 2019. This is what it says here. Listen to this. In 2016, there's a report that estimated that there were 45.1 million bird watchers that were 16 years and older in the US. That is about 20% of the US population. Okay? Then it carries on a little bit, it says here. In the UK, bird watching has overtaken fishing as the number one hobby and the second largest source market for bird watching tourism worldwide after the USA. Now listen to this, RSPB, the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, has more than 1 million members and they claim that around 6 million United Kingdom residents are regularly engaged in bird watching. Okay, one of the last part of this here. No longer is birding seen as a hobby for middle-aged. A nationwide survey of Britain's hobbies interested discovered that 32% of men aged between 16 to 25 have been birding. A whole lot of celebrities onto birding. BirdLife South Africa, I haven't got the stats in terms of how many birders are in South Africa. BirdLife South Africa, a good indication is looking how big Facebook groups are. A Facebook group, BirdLife South Africa, has more than 40,000 members. Okay, BirdLife South Africa has community guides that make a living from the AV tourism market. So in other words, this is an industry that actually creates employment, that brings money in. Okay, we spoke about this in the last episode also. The funny thing with birders is statistically, many birders have more dispensable income. Birders are willing to travel to places to see bird. If we said in the last episode, if something shows up at Kruger, most people won't get in their car to drive. Where a bird, if the rare bird shows up, when the pipit shows up at Kruger, guys get in their cars to go chase after those birds. I don't know if the Southern African tourism sector has realized the value of this market. And I'm going to tell you why. We kind of alluded to it earlier. I've literally got hold of reserves before, places that I want to go and visit. And I ask them, I'm talking about places in the wild. What's your bird list? What birds do you get? And you basically, the person answers you has no flippant idea what birds they have. And I just think, for a reserve, it's so sad, okay? Many reserves only cater for those that want to actually see the big five. So I want to ask you guys a question. Do you feel that the South African tourism market the tourism industry is missing something?
Well, I want to just jump in here very quickly, and I think although your point is very valid about how educated are reserves or reserve staff about their own flora and fauna, to be fair to them, most of the people the public engages with are maybe your reservationists or your office managers and things like that. They're not necessarily the conservationists. So to be fair to them, we don't expect them to be completely clued up on what birds have been seen in their Pantat and things like that. And generally, your above average birder will have a fair idea of what's expected in that reserve. Although we would hope that those reserves would have good indication of the specials. My take on it is that no, a lot of reserves don't realize the value that they have in being in prime birding locations, and we're not only talking about the South African avitourism market, the global avitourism market. South Africa is a biodiversity hotspot. We have 870 plus birds that are found here regularly in South Africa. We don't realize how many people across the world want to travel to this country to see our birds. And I think our lodges and our reserves and places who attract the naturalist, not necessarily just someone that's interested in birds or insects.
This is clear. When we say naturalists, you're not talking about people that walk around no clothes on.
No, that's a nudist.
They call naturalists also.
Cut.
Yeah, okay, let's carry on.
You threw me off. So not only naturalists are attracted to these places, but these reserves need to understand, and it's purely just an education point of view. They might only attract guides that are obviously there to talk about the big five or to do walking safaris and things like that. But get in touch with local birders in your area, or even when people come and visit, ask them to give you the bird list that they capture on your reserve. You might find that there's some fantastic birds there, and that you can use for your benefit.
I definitely think that, if we'll be honest, the potential market possibly for the big five might be a bigger market, because you get more casual nature lovers in that. So these are not necessarily, so for example, an American comes over, they're going to go and see Cape Town, see the museums, go down to Robben Island, and that they'll be like part of that, like, let's go and see the big five. Where most of those people won't, for example, say, let's go and see some birds. It's not in their thing. So that is one aspect that I think is truth, is that the market for that it is a slightly smaller niche market. But I do feel, looking at the statistics, that it's a big market nevertheless. And birders are, like I said, birders are willing to pay to see birds. And I think, like very oftentimes when you go onto the South African tourism websites, there are some places, Wackerstrom is amazing at it. But just for a lot of these places, when you start looking at, their bird lists, I mean, like I always said, for a place to put together a bird list, I mean, I understand what you're saying about the receptionist. To put together a bird list, like you said, start generating a bird list, it costs you nothing. Your guys are going out anyway. Put together a bird list. When somebody says, hey, what birds can you see? The end of the receptionist knows nothing. She can at least email a bird list through. And I think it's those kinds of things that just make you more attractive, make you a more attractive location for birders.
I think the lodges have been harvesting the low-hanging fruit of the big five. But I think actually the birding market is the more high net worth individuals, and I think they could actually make higher margins marketing their lodges to the avitourism industry. I think, you know, I've seen during COVID that they have started to shift it to birders, and I think it's actually a good idea. You know, they've been safe so far in marketing to the big five tourists, but I actually think they need to train their guides more on the birding front, and I think they could actually do well.
I think also, like for example, the Getaway magazine, I actually applaud them. They've started doing a monthly article on birds. And one of the reasons I buy the Getaway magazine, amongst other reasons, is because they have that article, they have that article on birding in there. And I think, you know, there's a market which I mean, one thing about birders are crazy people. They spend, you go look at some of the guys' lenses, they spend money on lenses, they spend money on binoculars. I mean, you've got an outing, how many guys are using Swarovski? They're happy to spend money on a good pair of bins, a good lens, a good camera, because, and I just think, you know what, it might be a smaller market, maybe, but I think it's a market nevertheless. And I think you're just missing a huge, I mean, of these 40 million or whatever, these 45 million birders that are on the States, how many of them would love to see some of the birds that we get to see? I've got someone who I have a chat to on social media who lives up in the north of the US somewhere, and some of the birds, I send a picture, they're like, oh my word, we don't get birds like that in our area. Yeah. And if these, I mean, remember the cuckoo, people are going crazy for an African emerald cuckoo. That's I know it's a bogey bird, but it's a fairly common bird. Yet there's people that would actually pay to come over and see those kinds of birds.
Definitely. I had someone message me saying, I posted a picture of the African broadbill, and they said, oh, I didn't realize you get broadbills in Africa. I was going to go to Vietnam to see them. Like, I won't get one broadbill maybe in Africa, but
there's two.
There's
African green.
Okay. Yeah. So there's definitely a market for birders.
And Calvin, you've been involved in the industry in the past in terms of working with companies. What, you know, how was your experience in terms of overseas visitors wanting to come over to see birds? Were there a lot of people who wanted to come over? How did that look?
Well, very much. I mean, very much so. And I think local birding bird tour companies, by their own admission, are very much geared to the foreign market and not necessarily the local market. And we're seeing a shift lately, obviously, because if during the current pandemic, if foreign visitors can't come and visit our shores, well, you've got to keep working. So, you know, let's target the South African bird market, and I hope that the reception from the local bird market has been good, which from what I hear, it has been, and I hope that market continues to grow. But to answer your question, there seems like tapping into the bigger markets like US, the UK, Sweden is a very, very big birding market as well. I mean, the guys there can go like 18 hours birding non-stop. They just, you know, they make our listers look like small fry. So yes, I mean, there's still a huge, South Africa is a very popular destination, and there's a lot of people that want to travel here to see it. And also, you know, just generally, habitats across the world are being destroyed, and you know, there's so much pressure on environmental pressure on birds that we don't know how long some of our threatened species are going to last. So people are trying to get you to see them before they die out, and that's a horrible thing to say, but it's a reality as well.
So, what do you feel that you know, places that lodges and reserves, what do you think they can start to do to become more relevant for birders? If we're saying there's a problem, what is the solution look like?
Well, the guards need to be trained better, I think, in birding. You know, they know everything about the big five, but some of them don't know what African hoopoo is. So,
I think that's definitely a great starting point. But also, the lodges themselves need to not be shy to ask other birders for help.
Yeah.
Reach out to birders. Reach out to people that are posting pictures on Facebook and say, hey, we'd love to have you here. Come and take some photos of the birds, and for those lodges to share the photos of the great birds. And that's all it takes. You know, social media is powerful enough that if one lodge shares a great photo of a broadbill, I mean, being my bogey bird, I'll try and hunt it wherever I can, or any other one of those special birds, and that'll put you on the map, and that'll show places. I mean, silly example. I think I even mentioned in the last episode, but there's a place that's 10 kilometers from a house. It's a monkey sanctuary. There's they don't promote themselves as a birding destination whatsoever. There was a broadbill there. They shared a picture, and it's on the map for me. Now I know about this place. I really wouldn't have paid much attention in the past, but that's what I'm trying to say, is that if you are a place that wants to attract birders, find some photos and share them, and make sure that those birds are seen in your boundaries.
And I think also small practical steps. I mean, like there's BirdLife South Africa has the birder-friendly establishments.
Yeah.
Get onto that listing. I mean,
Yes, yeah.
it's 1,800 or something around a year. I mean, the money you're spending on that is not just about getting out there, but it's also about making an impact in conservation. I mean, I know, Tyron, when you've actually looked for places that are birder-friendly, and we've got the Birding Life. We've also got our birding directory. Get onto those things. At the moment, like the bottom level is free for at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason to not come on board. And like Calvin was saying, don't be intimidated. If there's ways that there's birders out there that will be more than happy to come spend a weekend to come and help you. And I just think it's a huge market. And I think if we, there's just take those practical steps. And I think you're going to attract a lot more birders. And the cool thing is birders love the Big Five also. I mean, like I spoke about earlier, I want to see a leopard. So it's really, really awesome. But guys, it's been a lot of fun today. Our second Birding Life show, and we're looking forward to the Christmas promotion coming up, the 30 days of Christmas. And hopefully I'll be doing in Manyoni next week, Thursday. I don't know where you guys are going. I know Calvin, Tyron's got a whole Christmas up at Babanango. Calvin's talking about trying to get to Wakkerstroom.
I've got. I'm going to be in Underberg, so Sani Pass is back on. Has just opened up again, so I'm going to be birding up in Lesotho as well. So some great stuff and hopefully great content for YouTube. And if I can just jump in there again, folks, if there's any suggestions, if there's anything that you'd like to see, please put comments below. We'd love to get your feedback. As I said before, positive or negative, where you think we can improve, let us know, because this is for you. It's for the birding market.
And I want to ask this, the last thing I want to ask. We've hit 2,000 listeners for the month. Most of the episodes, we have a really, really good listenership. If everyone on that episode, everyone who listens, would just take the time and just share that episode with one other person, it's going to help us to get the news out of this year. We charge for the podcast. It's literally there to get information about birds, help us to get the news out.
Yeah.
Let us know, like we said, let us know where you're listening from. Just drop us a message on Facebook or on Instagram or something. Let us know where you're listening from, number one. And secondly, share this with one person at least. We're asking you, please share a post, let people know about this, and let's make this go viral. Awesome. Thanks,
Cool.
guys.
Thanks.
That's it.
We're going to have one left there, Karen.